welcome to the Mingled Yarncast Vlogmas number 3. I'm your host, Steven, also known as KnitFen, on Instagram and Ravelry, and I know you're thinking to yourself, Vlogmas number 3, but it's December 19th. Shouldn't you be on Vlogmas 19? Well, look, this is my first time doing this, and as I said in the first Vlogmas episode, I probably wasn't going to do one every day. And I did think maybe I'd get one or two more than I've done. But it's the first year. Next year, I'll do better. But anyway, wanted to drop in and say hello to you all and give you some updates about the challenge I set forth for myself in the very first Vlogmas episode. And that was to knit 3 scarves for presents for Christmas for... I'm not going to tell you who it's for, but from using the yarn from Windy Valley Muskox, and I am going to show that to you in a bit. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple of other things that have been exciting and interesting to me recently. The first, so you've probably noticed if you are a person who watches a lot of knitting videos and podcasts and vlogs and that kind of thing, that there are many folks out there doing Vlogmas episodes, and it's fun to see them all, but I truthfully don't have the time to watch everybody's, even though I would like to. But one that I have watched a couple episodes of is Jen Geigley, and I want to sort of direct you to hers if you haven't watched her videos from her channel already, because they're quite good. And she caught my eye on Instagram because she was posting about a sock knitting machine. And I've heard of these things, but I've never actually seen one in action. And she said, check out my Vlogmas episode because I'll show you how to use it. And she did. And so I went on specifically to see that because I'm at the point now where I've acquired quite a bit of yarn. My stash is probably not as big as some of you out there, but it's big enough that I'm like, I need a means of going through it a little more quickly. And maybe, from what I understand, the machines do still take time, but, and there's a learning curve, obviously, but it would be a fun way to work through some sock yarns that have been sitting there for a while and to make some other gifts even faster. But anyway, that was interesting to me. I wanted to see her video on that, so I looked it up, and she talked about that at the end of the video. The beginning of the video, though, she was talking about all of her books and just showing the designs and talking about the process. And to me, that was what was really, really fascinating because I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know that Jen had so many books. Good for you, Jen. I was very impressed. But I also was really, really inspired by her process of self-publishing her books. I mean, they look really great. They look top-notch. And she talked about how she got them onto the shelves in different bookstores around the country. And that to me was really interesting. I guess I just, I know a little bit about publishing fiction and nonfiction, but I do not know or did not know, well, I still don't know that much about publishing in the knitting world or the craft world. So to know that one could self-publish and then get your books onto the shelves of stores. I mean, I don't think you can just self-publish a novel and go to Barnes & Noble and say, hey, you want to sell this? Or even your local store. I mean, maybe that's what people do, but I'm not aware of that happening. I know lots of people who've self-published fiction, and they haven't done it that way. So I enjoyed hearing that the craft world is willing to help you out and get those books to the people who are going to make the things that are in there so that it was work that was valuable. But in any case, her process was very interesting and cool, and she shares a lot about her family and insights and how they're included in the works of these books. Her kids are modeling, and anyway, really, really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So I wanted to say thank you, Jen, for that inspiration. I'm going to be thinking about that moving forward, and just possibilities down the road of perhaps what I could do. I had no vision of ever publishing a design book. I've had thoughts of publishing, a random design here or there, and maybe get it on Ravelry and see if anybody likes it. But a book length thing seemed out of reach. But now watching that video, it doesn't seem so out of reach anymore. So, yeah, thanks. So Jen inspired me, and I want to share, my next thing that I want to share is something from a friend who told me that I inspired them, and she wanted to gift me something, and sent it along with a very nice note saying that she was moved by some of the things that I had been making and talking about, and she wanted to give me something in return. So this is a quilt. It's my second quilt that I've been given. Also from friends from where my parents live in northern Kentucky. I'm sure I've said this before. I'm from Cincinnati originally, and northern Kentucky is kind of greater Cincinnati in the way that Hoboken, New Jersey is greater New York City. But anyway, that's where they live now, so I've spent in the last 2 decades lots of time in northern Kentucky and have made lots of friends there. And this one, so I'm going to have to stand up to show you this. It's big. Am I holding it right? Well, I'll move it around if I need to. Yeah, I do need to move it around. Okay, so check this out. I'm gonna post a picture of it here in just a minute so that you can see it spread out on the couch. But oh my God, without standing, oh, I know what I can do. I'm gonna scroll it up like a film marquee, and I will stop talking just for a moment. So if you need to see my mouth moving, you won't miss anything. Here we go. I have no idea how that looked because I couldn't see the screen myself. But hopefully you got a sense that this big, beautiful black and white marvel it's just stunning. It's really, really gorgeous. I'm going to flip it around so you can see it from the other side actually too. So this is from Patti. And as I said, Patti's a friend who is from northern Kentucky. I don't think I'm misspeaking when I say this. She only started quilting during COVID, and she's still new to it. Well, I mean, relatively, but obviously she's doing beautiful work. And well, I mean, we've gone back and forth talking about it, and I told her, as somebody who doesn't know how to quilt, this just seems like magic to me, that anybody could, take these fabrics and just make these beautiful images on it, and also that. Wait, you can see it on the black here. The stitches. That's the most magical thing to me. I'm sure if you're somebody who quilts and you know what you're doing, then perhaps there's nothing too fantastic about these jigsaw stitches and seams. But to me, it just looks like that must take a lifetime to do. But I'm sure, like knitting, it's not as difficult as it looks. But it does look difficult. And, people say that to me all the time, too, about sweaters that I've made. Like, oh, wow, I could never do that. And, of course, you could if you tried. And I'm sure I could quilt if I tried. But I just haven't. And since I haven't, it's magic. That's all I can say about it. And I'm extremely grateful. And like I said, here's the picture. Isn't that pretty? You get a better sense of the whole scope of the thing. But like I said, let me situate myself here. Ooh. I threw all of my other projects on the ground by standing up to do that. Okay, here we are. I'm trying to block that ring light for you because I feel like that's annoying to look at, isn't it? So I'm going to put my head there. Okay, I'm ready. Ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Or maybe I'm not. What was I saying? Well, one more thank you. Thank you to Patti. It was a beautiful gift and warm and lovely and great to, just great to know that conversations that we've had have meant something to somebody else. And as I said at the beginning, I found lots of inspiration from Jen. Patti's found inspiration from me. I'm finding inspiration from Patti. It's just an inspiration loop. And I hope that you're experiencing that in your life too, with the people that you're interacting with in the real world and in the online world. That is one of the beauties of this forum and this format is getting to connect with people in these ways and to learn things that you didn't know about before and think of the things that you haven't made that you now want to make. So I would like you, if you wouldn't mind, in the comments, tell me, just, tag somebody who's inspiring to you, somebody who has made something, shown something, done something that made you want to, moved you to create and to do the same thing or something similar or what have you. And yeah, I'm very excited to hear that. And, tag somebody who's not expecting you to tag them, somebody who doesn't know that they inspired you. I think that'll be fun too. It's nice to know that, the things that we're doing had an effect. So, let's see. Where does that leave me? Oh, it occurred to me as I was just looking through some of the previous thumbnail images of other episodes. I don't think that I've worn this sweater before. Let me position myself here. I have... I'm trying to get comfortable. I've talked about it, I'm pretty sure, in an early episode, but this is the So Basic sweater by Maxim Cyr, Max the Knitter. And it's really great. So what makes this special is the first sweater that I ever made, and I made it during lockdown period, when time when, well, as I said before, making a sweater seemed like magic. It was something I never thought that I would be able to do, but I was like, well, let me just see if I can do it. And this was made with, the yarn is from Pearl Soho. I think it's called their line weight yarn. It's been so long now that I forget. But it's fingering weight yarn. I want to say that this was done on size 4 needles, if I'm not mistaken. So it was my first sweater, and I didn't know that that would take a very long time. I had no idea. And I loved it then. And then I didn't love it as much because, something that I learned early on was that the pattern called for binding off at the neck and at the sleeves in pattern. It said bind off in pattern. And I researched what that meant, and I did it, I think, to the best of my abilities. But I didn't go up a needle size. I didn't do the things that you need to do to make that stretchy. And at first, the neckline was so tight I couldn't get it over my head. So I redid that eventually. But the sleeves are not quite the way I like them, because I'm somebody that likes to roll my sleeves way up. And this is about as far up as they go. And so I can't really do much more than that with them, which means that if I am, say, at work and it gets really hot, because, like the hallways in school are freezing, but the classrooms are boiling, so you generally have to dress in layers. And this isn't something that can be removed easily unless I'm wearing layers with it. And it's really designed not to. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful wool. It's super, super soft. It feels great against the skin. It's really, really lovely. So because of that, because of the sleeves issue, I really just didn't wear it a whole lot. I made it, loved it, and kept it sitting in the closet to admire from afar. And more recently, though, I don't know, maybe I feel like the sleeves just haven't bothered me as much. I've left them down more often than not. And it's been less of an issue. So I started wearing it more this year, and I've probably worn it out 6 or 7 times, and really, really enjoy it now. This yarn, by the way, it does pill quite a bit, but I feel like the pilling does not detract from it. It really actually kind of adds to it a little bit. It used to be a little smoother. I don't know how, yeah, you can see that. But also, you can't see it in this light, I don't think, but the pilling parts are kind of golden. It's like the yellow parts of this yarn are what pill up, not the greener parts. So it gives it this beautiful little golden tinge of a halo, and it's really pretty. I love this sweater a lot. Now I do. So it was my first, and yeah, I'm happy to share it with you now. Some features of it, let me just show you. It's called the So Basic sweater because, as you can see, there's not a whole lot to it in terms of, like, there's no color work. It's just what you see is what you get. But it does have a raglan shoulder. Yeah, I think you can see that there. And it has these fun lines running down that you can kind of see on the side, although, like I said, the pilling has made that disappear a little bit. So it's just like I think it's like an 8x1 rib, I guess. And anyway, so there's not a lot in terms of ornamentation, just those little features. And the original pattern doesn't call for, but it gives you instructions on how to put a pocket on it, but I opted not to do the pocket. For me, this was going to be enough. And anyway, yeah, check that out. I'll put a link in the link in the description notes for the video, so you can check it out for yourself and see some other versions on Ravelry. So yeah, I'm wearing it today, loving it, and it's perfect for the season because it's just the right color. All these Christmassy things behind me, right? Okay, now let's see. I think that gets us to. Oh no, things are dropping again. Hold on. No, they're not. They're here. I've got my scarves all here now, and I'm going to show them off. So just as a reminder to everybody, I first purchased, the other great thing about this sweater, by the way, is I was playing around with this before. I can put these scarves on here, and they'll just stay in place because the wool is holding it spread out, and you can see it clearly, right? I am going to sit up again. I'm sorry if I'm moving too much. I'm just trying to situate myself in the camera as best I can. So, at Rhinebeck, I purchased this beautiful smoky gray yarn from Windy Valley Muskox, and this is their Majestic Blend, which is 15% Kivute, and I think 10% silk, maybe 5%, and the rest is merino. And I bought it as my starter Kivute just so I could have the experience of making something with it. And I talked about it on here and on Instagram, and Windy Valley asked if they could send me some more to make some more things. And as I explained in the very first Vlogmas, I am chosen to accept their offer and to make 3 more scarves that I'm going to give as Christmas presents. So this is the first one, and I'm showing it to you again. I know I've shown it before, but the first time I showed it to you, I hadn't blocked it. And I'd had it done for a few days. It was finished for a few days, and I hadn't blocked it. So shame on me for not showing you what this gorgeousness looks like once it's blocked. And it lays flat, beautiful, drapes lovely. And the pattern is called the Bison Lace Scarf by Karen Giuliano. And I think you can see that okay. All of these patterns I'm about to show you, they are simple enough to be relaxing, but challenging enough to keep you on your toes. And that was a perfect kind of thing for some relaxing holiday knitting, because holiday knitting, let's face it, as somebody mentioned in one of the comments in the other video, they said they're not doing it this year because it's stressful. It can be, of course. You've set these deadlines for yourself, sometimes deadlines you cannot realistically meet. However, for myself, I thought that I could meet this, and I've done my best, and well, like I said, you're going to see my progress. But yeah, it is stressful, and therefore, why make a complicated project? Or I should say a too complicated project. This one was perfect. It was just the right level of complexity, and it's so soft. As I'm working with all of these yarns and just getting to know them, I stop and I wrap my hands in it, and then sometimes I bunch it up and just, I like to feel the warmth and the softness, and they all of them you're going to see in just a moment, but some of these yarns get lighter and lighter to the point that you think, could this be warm at all? And it's very warm. It's very warm. Hold on. Sorry, the screen went off. So as I was saying, yeah, it's very, very warm. And warm, beautiful, luscious, soft. And yeah, so this was the first. And this is, again, the Bison Lace Scarf, the Majestic Blend from Windy Valley. Maybe in the end I will drape myself in all of these luxurious scarves. So this is the second one. This is what I was working on in the last episode when I was coming to you from the writer's retreat. This was still on the needles. This one is, now let's see if I can get this one to drape properly. Ah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, I feel like I won. So yeah, so this is the black fir scarf, F-I-R, like the tree, not fur like fur. Um, Fur like the tree. And this is the Royal Blend. This is 50% Kivute and 50% silk. And in the previous episode, I mentioned how, visibly in the skeins of yarn, they were different in size. And this one was a lot smaller because of, presumably, the silk being a little more, less fluffy and also just holding everything tighter together. And that is, perhaps not as true anymore now that it's a garment. You can just see the drape. It like moves like water through your hands. It's super flowy. Ooh, there we go. And super thin. And this is the one in particular that I was saying. It's so thin that I thought it could not be warm. Also, it's very lacy. I mean, you can see me through this. Well, maybe not, but practically see me through it. And I am not somebody who is too familiar with lace, either making it or wearing it. And here we go again. Bring this a little closer. Maybe that will help. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so as I was saying, I'm not somebody that's made a lot of lace, and I don't wear a lot of lace. But I did walk around town with this kind of bunched up, yeah, just like so, tucked into to my coat. Pulled that down a little bit. And I was stunned. I was really stunned at how warm it was. We've had some very cold days here in the New York metropolitan area. And yeah, I mean, any part of me that was exposed felt cold. And this, I mean, it wasn't too hot either. It felt just right. That's what it felt like. It felt just right. Sometimes I don't like to wear things, even though I make these, woolly items. I don't like being too hot. I like to be just right. And this was like, I don't know. It felt like it was self-regulating. It knew exactly what temperature I was meant to be, and it put me there in my neck anyway. And yeah, the other thing, that I didn't know about lace, and I'm sure some of you have discovered this already, zippers love to eat lace. I think it's what they live on. It's their staple of their diet, because I had on a jacket and this thing is, even if I tried to keep it away from the zipper, it just kept getting caught. Fortunately, I did that before I blocked it, so when I did block it, I could, stretch it out and get it all back to normal. But my goodness, like it's a magnet. It's a zipper magnet. Everything got caught, and it was making me a little scared. But anyway, so yeah. Actually, I'll hold this up a little closer so you can enjoy the pattern. Sometimes I look at it and I see leaves, which you're probably meant to see because, a fir tree, though, is a pine tree, isn't it? It doesn't really have leaves. Needles more. But anyway, there's something leafy about this. But also, maybe unintentionally, I sort of also see tortoise shells, like the bottom of a tortoise or turtle. That's what those holes kind of remind me of, in the color and everything else. But anyway, trees, turtles, nature, it's all good. It's all beautiful. Anyway, this is the black fur scarf, again in the royal blend from Windy Valley Muskox. And yeah, that was number 2, scarf number 2. Now, for those of you who are betting against me, who think I can't get all of these done by Christmas, I told you, don't bet against me. This one is not yet to be blocked. I just finished it last night. But this is the Ava Scarf. And this one, isn't that color beautiful? Let's see here. I'm just going to keep moving like I've been doing. Maybe that's just the best way to do this so you can see this from different angles. But anyway, the Ava Scarf. So like the bison lace, it has a V-shaped pattern, although this has, you can see, I think, the line of sort of a stockinette spine that's going down there, whereas this one is very different than that, and the holes are a little closer together. The zigzag is a little closer together. So yeah, very different process of making it, actually. And this one was more of a challenge than the black fur because this pattern, again, because lace is kind of new to me, it's basically an 8-row repeat. Every wrong side row is mostly pearls, and the right side rows, it's different each time. And so the second row it's very complex. Well, maybe not very complex, but more complex than the other 3. And for the other 3, I just count to a regular rhythm and do the thing every 4 or every 3 counts. But the second row had multiple things to do over the counts, and quite a few times, twice I completely screwed that up. And I was not comfortable leaving those mistakes there. Sometimes I am, but this was going to throw the pattern off so much, and it would be so visible that I did not want to leave it there. So I pulled it out to my lifeline. Haha, just kidding. I didn't have a lifeline. I pulled it out and undid it, frogged it back a couple of rows. And I have to say, as scary as that was at first, it was very scary the first time. It was less scary the second time because I knew from the first time that this yarn has a lot of tooth to it. And when I pulled it out, it pretty much stayed put. So that was reassuring and, good that I didn't have to worry about losing too much work. In fact, really, it was just like 2 or 3 rows. So that was fine. So that's a good quality to know about these yarns. The Kivute, it sticks. It sticks to everything, actually, which is why it's sticking so nicely to this sweater. Ooh, that looks great. Let's sit back a little so you can get the full view. And we're around. Today, I rode my bike to school, as I do every day. And I had this around like this and tucked in, and probably a little bit warmer than the Royal Blend. But again, not too much. It wasn't overly hot. It felt really great. It feels really great right now. My neck feels cared for. That's a nice feeling. So, anyhow, what else can I tell you about this yarn? You're probably wondering about the difference in the blends. So, the silk makes a big difference in this one. It really does. It drapes a little different. It feels different. And notice too, I mean, it makes the lace lacier in a lot of ways because this being so toothy, the fibers are really clinging to each other. And here the fibers are clinging to each other much, much less. And so it has that seaweed diaphanous effect. I think this is diaphanous. I need to look up the meaning of that word again because I could be wrong. I hope it's diaphanous. Anyway, yeah. So this feels quite different than this, but it does not feel so different from this. They both feel gorgeous and beautiful. I'm closing my eyes, trying to sense the difference. This one, as my fingers are going over it, a little smoother. There is the sensation of it. Oily is not the right word because that sounds gross, but think of your favorite lotion and the way that your fingers feel after you've used it. That's what that feels like. So it's just slightly softer, and only slightly softer than the Majestic blend. So again, this is the luxury blend. And now, since I finished that today, I finally started. And by the way, this took me I started Friday and I finished Monday, so it took me 4 days, 3.5 days. I am finally now onto the 100% Kiviute. So this is the first one that is the real McCoy. And I'm not prepared to compare it yet because it wouldn't be fair. These have been, actually this hasn't been blocked. So this might be even softer after it's blocked because this one got a lot softer after it was blocked. So once they're blocked, I will give you my final assessment of the feel comparison, the feel test. But I'm making the black fur again. And the reason I did that was because comparing it to this guy, let me get this on here again so we can see and compare notes. Because of the silkiness of this one, and as I've said, the way that there's more space between each stitch, more holes, and now doing this with the 100% Kiviute, so it's entirely an animal-based fiber, and I think you can already see, although it's not really fair. This has just started, and everything's much, much tighter and holding together at this point, versus this has had some time to open up. But even so, I can tell you that when I was working on this, it still was very much more open than this. So I wanted to see the same pattern in 2 different fibers so that I could compare those notes for myself and see it. And I loved this, and it was as I've already said, it was a relaxing, beautiful piece to work on, and I certainly don't mind doing it again. And feeling the difference, seeing the difference, and getting to understand this fiber in a different way. The color, by the way, is Scarlet. And now, here's the fun part. Here's where we play dress up. Dun, da, 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 da. Oh, ooh, look at that. Let's see, I'll do this one as a an overall. And there we go. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the thumbnail image for this episode. Makes sense, right? So anyway, I'm going to be talking about these some more. I will, by the way, so in case you're wondering, will I get it done by Christmas? I definitely will. There's no way that I won't. The real question, though, is will I get it done before I fly to Cincinnati, which is Friday? And that answer is probably not. And that's unfortunate because all of my blocking materials are here, but I will find a way to block it when I'm there. My mom's got some pins, and I'll figure out what to do. So, yeah, that's that. And I think that may be all for this evening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to sharing the next finished project with you and some footage, perhaps, of Christmas in Cincinnati. I'm looking forward to going home and spending time with loved ones, eating lots of cookies, because God knows there's a lot of cookies, and having some nice wine. We have a tradition in my family, on both sides, actually. I have my grandfathers on both sides drank Manhattans, and that was their drink of choice. And so on both sides of my family, we toast those who are gone with Manhattans, and then the first one's for those we've lost. 2 and 3 are just for ourselves, let's be honest. So, but it's okay, I suppose, to indulge a little bit in the holidays. I hope yours are fun. However you are celebrating, whatever you are celebrating, I hope you enjoy it. And if you're not celebrating anything, stay warm and go be with loved ones anyway. And have a wonderful season, everybody. See you soon.